Today's Evening First Alert weather show is brought to you by Bresky Siding.
And good Monday evening, Mid-Michigan. Chief Meteorologist Chris Easlick with your Monday evening forecast updates. And we are talking snow once again, ready or not. I know that's a swear word at this point in the season. Once we start getting to late February, I know everyone's patience kind of runs out a little bit. I know there's some ice fishermen out there who are saying, please let this good season continue. And I know it's also been one of the better winters we've had as far as snow kind of persisting a little bit more constantly. It seems like we've gone, even though we had that thaw recently, it seems like the snowpack has kind of stuck around more consistently for those who do like the winter sports. And so we're getting another round tomorrow evening, and it's not necessarily the amount of snow, but do think it will be the timing of the snow, which is going to be inconvenient. And I've got this handy graphic there for you to plan your Tuesday out. Currently expecting the morning hours tomorrow to be fine. And even if we're expecting some scattered snow between roughly noon and 5, keep in mind these time frames could adjust just a little bit tomorrow as we kind of refine things. But still expecting the afternoon to be primarily just scattered snow. It's kind of just starting at that point. So we're not really expecting road conditions to really deteriorate that quickly. But once we start getting into 5 and 10, I think that's when you're going to start seeing those snow showers really pick up. And it's not going to last for long. But I do think the heaviest rates could be around a ½ inch per hour. Potentially up to about an inch per hour or so. Are we going to exceed an inch per hour? I don't know if we'll go that far, but I think we might be able to get right up to about an inch per hour in some of those heaviest spots. But the catch this time around, unlike some of the stronger storm systems we've had this winter, haven't really had too many, but we've had, a couple 4 to 8 inch type snowfalls. This is not going to be that. But it's going to be intense for a moment, and then it's going to move on. So this graphic right here, I think, tells the story. If you have travel plans or you have activities, basketball games Tuesday, kids have play practice, something like that, I think you're going to run into some slowdowns tomorrow night. So just going to chat with everybody really quick. Derek, appreciate you joining. Deborah, Linda, Sherry, Linda, Denise, Wendy, Vicky, Caleb, all good to see all of you. Looks like we've got roughly about 40 people on for now. So let's get to the timing, the most important thing, right? So here's how it looks tonight. Not really much going on. There's been some lake effect in the thumb. And if I fast forward a little bit, it's not really showing much. Maybe it does briefly behind Port Hope there. You can't really tell. If you look closely, you might be able to catch it. But pretty much in this region right here, as we go through tonight, this little tip of the thumb that basically cuts right off the northeastern half of Huron County. I think there could be some lake effect snow. They kind of persist there as we go through the overnight hours. So do not be shocked if you see maybe a few areas pick up around another inch, inch and a half, 2 inches. If those bands stay on shore long enough, I don't think that's a guarantee. We're talking about a very sensitive wind direction for tonight, how long it's going to last. So I think that's going to be tricky, but I do think there's at least the possibility that some of those areas could still pick up another inch or so, if not a little bit more if it stays on land for a long period of time. Richard, I know a lot of people who probably feel the same way as you, because I feel like I've been bothered by that for the last couple of years. Can we get a big snow? And I'm not talking about 6 inches. I'm not talking about 8. Every year, someone has asked me, when is the big one coming? So you're not alone. I'm sure that many don't want what New York is getting, especially the winds that I've seen in Boston, in Massachusetts. I'm not sure if New York's getting the wind along with the snow, but yeah, you're not the only one hoping for that, but I'm not sure that you're the majority. But either way, as we go through tomorrow, we are going to get some snow once we get closer to the evening. So still think we're pretty quiet around lunchtime or shortly thereafter. Think by about 3 o'clock we could start seeing some scattered snow. I think it's when you start getting into 4 and 5 o'clock where you start seeing these deeper shades of blue starting to sneak in there. And it's in this band that you see here that I think we could be looking at those snowfall rates again that are in excess of about a ½ inch per hour. And a ½ inch really doesn't sound like much, but when it comes to snowfall, it's actually a little bit more than you might have in your mind. Anytime we're talking a ½ inch to an inch, that's when the snow kind of piles up pretty quickly, and it can happen more than you think. And especially during this time when we're talking about the evening, I definitely think there are possibilities where we could run into some trouble. And it looks like we've got some of that continuing into about the 6 o'clock hour, some of it even into the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock hour. Now, some of the darkest shades of blue seem to depart the area by around 8 or 9 o'clock. And then this system quickly moves on. We'll deal with some scattered snow showers after that. And some of these could add a little bit more. It just may not be uniform as it happens. Some areas will get another inch, maybe some another ½ inch, and then others maybe not so much after the main wave. So I think the totals could vary quite a bit once we get past the early round there. And in addition, as that snow is falling, I'll give you a sense of what the wind is going to be doing. We've got some gusts near 25 to 30 miles per hour, which again is not the wind that they're getting in New England, or we're getting in New England. I haven't really been able to keep tabs today. But it's still going to have a chance to lower some of those visibilities as that snow falls, especially once we're at the peak. And that wind doesn't really slow down much into Tuesday night. It keeps going roughly about 20 to 30 miles per hour through the overnight and even into to Wednesday itself. So another big question, how much snow are we actually getting? This is our first run at a snowfall map. There are a couple trends I think we're watching. We kind of held the course with what we've been seeing the last couple of days and went with about 2 to 4 inches in this darker area, this lighter shade of blue, darker relative to the gray that's just to the southwest. I will tell you though, I think in the thumb especially, and we might amend this to just communicate a little bit better, I think there's a lot more in the thumb that are closer to the 2 rather than the 4. We just tried to keep our map simple this afternoon. But I think there's a world where we might be able to get away with a 1 to 3 in this area and then save the 2 to 4 for more of our northerly counties, or what I might be able to see with the evening data that comes in tonight. I wouldn't be shocked if we maybe have like a 2 to 4 that goes right here through Roscommon and into the northern areas, cut across with about a 1 to 3 in this area, and then maybe keep that trace to 2 inches a little bit further to the south and west towards areas like Alma and Owasso. But I do want to see how the evening shakes out first. The reason that I'm telling you this is because this was kind of our thinking going back into the weekend. And we try not to jump on new trends right away, but I will tell you some of the models that we look at are coming in just a shade lighter tonight. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that this isn't going to stick around very long. If you look at this, notice by the time this comes in at 5 o'clock, there's the heavier band that we're talking about, where you're seeing some of those blue shades. By 6:30, it's already starting to move into the Bay region, and then by 8, it's already in the thumb. And then by 10, most of it's over. So we've got about a 5-hour window there. The heaviest sticks over a place for maybe an hour or two. And so even if we assume a ½ inch per hour and then a little bit after that, this might not be around long enough at its current projected speed for us to really hit some of those 4-inch type totals, at least on a widespread scale. I think our northern counties have a better chance for that, but I just want you to know that in case tomorrow Matthew makes some adjustments during the morning. We always try to wait as long as possible to give you kind of our final forecast, because we'd be doing a disservice to you if we cut off our final forecast before we got there. We always get better information as we get closer to the event. And so I could see a change like that. I could see the 2 to 4 going down to a 1 to 3 maybe, or I could see maybe dividing up the map just a little bit more based on what comes in tonight. The bottom line is, though, we are threading the needle and splitting hairs so much because there's really not much of a difference between 1 to 3 and 2 to 4. There's a little crossover there. And so really what I want you to focus on is just the fact that this could be a little messy tomorrow evening. Now, if we can get this to hold off just a little bit longer and say some of the worst of it comes in at 7, that would probably be a little bit more ideal than 4 and 5 o'clock. I'm not saying that for those of you who have to drive at 7. I know that's still going to be inconvenient, but there's at least less of a rush at 7 than there is at 4 and 5. And so I wouldn't be mad if this held off an hour or 2. I think for high school basketball goers tomorrow night, that could be a little tough to deal with, and it could slow things down quite a bit. But I would feel at least a little bit better if we got past the evening rush first, and it allowed some of us who are on the road a little bit later to have less cars to deal with, less traffic to deal with, when certain people are in for the night anyway. But we'll see what happens. We'll have another update on that timeline as we get into tomorrow. I think this is a really helpful summary graphic right here that really paints the story, regardless of how much snow we get. I think this helps you through the day, morning up until about 5 o'clock for most areas, I think is going to be okay. If you're closer to 127, if you're in Roscommon, you're in Clare, you're in Isabella or Gratiot, you might be just a shade sooner than 5 o'clock. But even then, if it's just starting by then, you might even still be okay. But that, I think, again, tells the story pretty well. And here's what we're looking at the rest of the week. There was something we were kind of watching for Thursday and Friday. That seems like it's going to go south of Michigan now. So we're not as concerned about that anymore compared to over the weekend. So maybe some lingering flurries at times Wednesday, maybe a little bit Thursday. Thursday's chance I think we can drop. If we don't see that system that was projected for Thursday come back north tonight, then I think it's pretty much gone. And then a chance for some snow showers Saturday and a chance for some snow showers on Monday. So that's about all I've got for the stream tonight. It's pretty straightforward. We're just expecting some messy weather for the evening, but I don't think you have anything to worry about tonight unless you're in that Huron County area where some lake effects might brush the shoreline. But most of us will probably get through without much trouble at all. Let me see if any of that lake effect is showing up in areas like Bad Axe. It looks like the sensor is dry. I know what I can show you. Here is a look, and I'll pull this up. This is going to be on our desktop. So it'll be something I'll walk you through. But what this is, let me pull up our Mac Mini computer. See if I can zoom in just a little bit more. And so what this is if you can see that, is these shadings that you see right here. This is the probability, if you read right here, the probability of 1 hour snowfall exceeding 1 inch. So this is essentially looking at what is the likelihood that we get snowfall rates in excess of 1 inch per hour. If you see, it's mostly blue here, then it kind of fades away. But it's not, I would say, a strong chance. There's a little light green mixed in there. But if we come down here and we look at the key, the blue shade is about 30 to 40%. That little light green in Iosco County is about a 60 to 70% chance. This area right here. But what this tells you, again, is we might not get there, but the fact that it's being suggested on a 30 to 40% chance basis means that I don't think we can completely rule out inch per hour snowfall totals. So that's kind of where we get that. Let me see if I can show you the probability of reaching 4 inches of snow. And that is right here. And if we go down just a little bit more, you can see that these are the odds for 4 inches of snow or more. And they exist, but they're only about 20 to 30%, or 10 to 20%. It seems like we've got maybe a 40 to 50% chance, maybe 50 to 60 in northern Iosco and northern Ogemaw, a little bit further to the north. But again, the chance is not all that high to exceed 4 inches. So I kind of think we're capped at about a 1 to 4 inch type snowfall. The exception, again, could be areas like Gratiot County. You're kind of on the fringe. I wouldn't be surprised if you're in Gratiot County and you pick up an inch or less. But we'll see where that goes tomorrow. Andrew asks, leaving Bay City tomorrow around 4, tomorrow afternoon to go to Millington, and leaving to head back to Bay City around 6. How is the drive there and back looking? So if you're leaving Bay City around 4, I think you'll be fine getting there, Andrew. But I do think heading back around 6, you're probably driving right into it. And so what I would say, Andrew, is make sure that you're being as careful as you can. It will probably take you some time because I do think if I open this back up and get back to our timing, if I get back to our hour by hour here, it seems like some of those heavier snowfall rates. Hello, Meredith. You're fine. If anybody saw Meredith St. Henry go by, she wants to do a weather report. Come on, Meredith, come back. Come back. Beauty of live streaming. It's not just live television in 2026. It is the beauty of live streaming. But back to the original point, is around 6 o'clock, Andrew. You're going to be going from Millington in the Thumb over to Bay City. So yeah, you're probably going to be driving right into it. Please be careful. I don't think it's necessarily to the point where you can't make it. Very rarely will I tell you there are conditions where you have to stay off the roads. I think our temperatures being at least close to freezing will help with road treatments, and I think the advance notice will hopefully help with some pre-treatment and those types of things. But I would be lying if I tell you I think it's going to be an ideal drive, if that makes sense. So I would be careful. So yeah, Sherry, 2 to 3 inches for Gladwin, not too bad. We'll see where the data goes tonight. Gladwin's in kind of a weird spot. And for those of you who don't know, I don't even know if she got on camera, but we have our live stream area, and Meredith was walking right by. I don't know if she actually made it on camera or not, but she almost walked in front of it if you didn't actually see her. So if anyone's wondering what I'm talking about. But yeah, that is where things stand for tonight. Again, about a 1 to 4 inch type snowfall. I think the evening drive is the worst time frame for those of you just hopping on the stream. Here's a good graphic that I think helps you out. And we'll get through it. Should be a pretty standard Michigan snowfall. I just think the timing is less than ideal. And I think the rates could be a little heavier, briefly, but heavier. And I think that could really slow things down for at least a brief period of time tomorrow night. So Matthew will have the latest in the morning on whether we're I'm going to change the snowfall map up. If you're just joining the stream now, I think it's a 1 to 4 inch type snowfall with more probably closer to about the 1 to 2 inch range. And I wouldn't be shocked. We have a 2 to 4 inch area right now. I wouldn't be shocked if we shrink that a little bit and maybe do a 1 to 3 instead in certain locations, or it could be a 1 to 2 type snowfall. I think there's room to go. Some of our data is coming down just a little bit because of how fast the system is moving through, not necessarily because it doesn't lack power. We are going to get a good thump of snow, but I don't think it lasts long enough, or there is at least a possibility it may not last long enough to get quite into that range for at least some of the area. So I think we can make adjustments, but I think 1 to 4. Go into tomorrow expecting about a 1 to 4 inch type snowfall. We'll refine the edges if we can, and then this is the most important. So that's where the stream is going to end tonight. Good to see you, Tina. By the way, before we go, Tina, is it still snowing in your neck of the woods? I'd be really interested in that. And again, for those of you in Harbor Beach and some other northerly Huron County areas, if the lake effect stays on shore tonight, I think you could get a little bit more. It is going to be one of those snow bands that kind of brushes the shoreline. So it may not affect everybody, but if you're in Huron County, you know the drill. So that's the end of the stream. Tina, I'll get your comment. If you can tell me if it's still snowing or not, that'd be great. I can get that as the outro plays. But in the meantime, we will talk to everybody tomorrow. We'll recap what is left at 9 o'clock, how much we've gotten, how the roads are, those types of things. And we will see you then. Sounds like Harbor Beach, you stopped at about 6 tonight. So, Tina, thank you for that report. As always, we will see everybody tomorrow night. Until then, please be safe on the roads tomorrow, and we will see you on Tuesday.